I are going to be speaking a bit about leadership and what one does, how to start the journey of becoming as good a leader, as strong a leader, as effective a leader as one can be. And so I really wanted to find out from you, Rick. I know you work with leaders across all different kinds of industries and in different roles. Where do people begin in their journey towards becoming a really outstanding leader?
Yeah, this is a great question, Liz. And, I think about the quote from Stephen Covey, begin with the end in mind. I have a little different take. I say begin with your mind in mind, right? Self-awareness, right? In all things, I think it's how well do you know you? Because if you're not thinking about it, you're just going through life being you, right? With strategies, with behaviors that have worked for you, helped you be successful personally and professionally. And if you continue to do them, you're certainly at a certain level of effectiveness, but not optimal effectiveness. So from a leadership development, first be mindful of how well do you know you? And honor and appreciate yourself and think, where do I need to behave outside of my normal set of behaviors because it's more effective.
So that's a very good point, Rick. And I guess I'm wondering, in your experience, are there people who really don't know themselves particularly well, whether they think they do or they don't, simply lack self-insight? And if so, what then?
Yeah, another terrific question. 360 feedback, which we're familiar with as a tool, is helpful to calibrate how we experience ourselves. How you experience yourself, how I experience myself, and how others experience us is always different, right? Sometimes a little, sometimes a lot.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's very relevant to our work, and sometimes not, right? And so I developed what I call a personal adjustment factor. So for example, I might think I'm terrible at something, not very good at all. Let's say communicating. And you might say, well, Rick, I think you're quite good. And I need to adjust my personal calibration for me, multiply by 2 or 1.2. And when I get to that adjustment factor, I know that's the winning formula for you. Or conversely, I might think, I'm fantastic at communication. And you're thinking, not so much, Rick, okay? And I need to adjust my experience of myself, by half. And I know that I'll be more effective. And so that's what I call a personal adjustment factor. We all have these. The question is, do you know what they are for you, for each of these categories or leadership competencies that would be effective for your role?
I guess building on that, and the last question I'll have for you for this conversation is, when you provide your clients with feedback and you've learned what others think of them in terms of their effectiveness, things they can improve upon and so on, are people generally open and willing to look at that, or is there any layer of defensiveness or even denial that you come across in your work with leaders?
Yeah, they're all over the map, right? Some are very self-aware and very much open and embracing of the feedback, the best kinds of client to have.
Yes.
Some of them are in denial, and some of them actually beat themselves up. They only focus on what's wrong. And my approach of providing feedback is honoring people where they are, right? We all have special gifts and talents and assets. So whenever we're getting feedback or testing our self-awareness against others, it's really appreciating, here's what you really do well. Do you know that? How can we leverage that? That's where we start. That's the foundation. Yeah. Then, okay, what else do you need to do to enhance? Where do you need to shift your behavior to be more effective? Do more, do less, whatever it might be, okay? And usually, once people have validated, hey, you know what, you're good in these areas, whether it's just one thing, whether it's many things, once that foundation is built, it's easier to hear, here's what you can do to be even better.
Yeah. Very much agreed. And I've actually found sometimes you have to, for people who are very high performing and difficult on themselves, tough on themselves, make sure they're open to hearing all the things that they do well, not just zeroing in on the things that they don't.